Welcome. Surprise. Hey, everybody. Do you guys know who this is? Jack Scott. For anybody that's new here, welcome to the show. This is another amazing episode of how to market yourself as a how to market your cyber self. This is episode 3 of 8, and I'm thrilled to be your guest host for this week's episode. Now, if you don't know me, I am Jax. I'm a podcaster. I'm a YouTuber. I have a very, very small following in comparison to Jerry. However, I am a huge fan of the Simply Cyber community, and I love Jerry like a brother. So I was thrilled when he reached out to me and asked me to guest host for this episode. So if this is your first time here, welcome to the Simply Cyber show and the community. Typically, the person that's on here is Dr. Gerald Auger. He is typically your host, but he is currently out and he is spending time with his family. And I am, again, absolutely thrilled to be here. So quick admin notes for anybody that's here. We're going to have an amazing guest on the show today, and you're likely going to have questions for her. So do me a favor, if you can, put a capital Q within the chat so I can actually see those questions more easily and pick them out. All right. So today's amazing guest, if this is your first time here and you don't know, we have a world-renowned marketing expert and CEO, Virginia Case. Now, she has over 20 years of experience in this space, and today we're going to be diving into a topic that I'm actually really excited about. It's called Deciphering Marketing Jargon for Cybersecurity Entrepreneurs. So have you ever wondered how you could shape your own story in the digital world? And if your answer to that question is yes, then you are absolutely in the right place. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get our guest on the show. All right. Welcome to the show, Virginia. Happy to have you back. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. So good to see you, Jax.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Big fan. I have watched you on other episodes. So when Jerry reached out to me and asked me if I would take part in this and be a guest host on the show, hands down, absolutely yes. I love what you're doing for the community. And so I'm really, really excited about today because I'm an entrepreneur myself. And so the topic that we're going to be talking about, I feel like it's really relevant. But before we really dive in, because I know the show is pretty short, we're going to dive right into it. Can you first start by kicking it off and talking about why this is such an important topic and why you felt it was so important to have an episode specifically about this?
Sure. So as Jerry and I were talking about what would matter most to this audience, we were thinking about like the life cycle of how people bring themselves to market. And as we thought about kind of this marketing portion, there's a whole bunch of different nomenclature, just slang, acronyms, all of these different things that people tend to just nod their head and smile at, or they say, I'm going to go Google that later, or they just kind of let it go. And it's to their own detriment that they're not getting involved in what these marketing things are. So I wanted to bring this to the cyber community because I know that we're super passionate about being engaged on all of the different things that are cool in cyber. But when you start building a brand for yourself, as you start building that awareness for yourself as an entrepreneur, it's critical that you start thinking about how that awareness is going to actually get out into the marketplace. And part of it is being able to start to learn the other side of the lingo. I had to learn SIM and MDR and XDR and all those things when I started to learn cyber. So now it's only fair that we start throwing it back over the fence and give you guys some opportunities to learn about some of the most valuable metrics around marketing and some of the things that I think people really can glom onto, that they can distill and that they can put into work immediately.
I love that. And I love how you piecemeal everything and you make it really easy to digest. I think from that, what I would be really curious to know is, in your space, and you've been in it for quite a long time, are there any main concepts, like complex concepts that you've seen in the marketing space that you see confuse beginners or entrepreneurs?
I have, and I actually have 7. So I'm going to kind of hit you fast with a few of these. So the first one is brand positioning. So brand positioning is how you differentiate yourself, your brand. This comes down to like your key values. This can even be stuff like how you style yourself, the tone you use. People look at this in terms of like, even if you use emojis or not inside of your social posts, it can be seen in a lot of different lights. And consistency is really key to making sure that that brand positioning sticks. Now, if you don't like it, you can still pivot. And we kind of talked about that last time with being able to build your own cyber persona. But thinking about how you're positioning yourself or positioning a product, if you're an entrepreneur or a service, all of these things are how you're going to differentiate, become memorable, and stick in a very positive way inside of your target customer's mind. The next one is brand awareness. And so I like to think of brand awareness as memorability and recognition of your brand. And one of my favorite brands, to give an example of, is Geico. Why? Because they've spent a boatload of money on actually going to market. And I think most of us could actually just, in our mind's eye, pick out one or two of their commercials right off the bat. We could probably even give ourselves their taglines, their catchphrases, their brand ambassadors. So that memorability, the recognition of the brand, all of that really is something that they've done incredibly well. And if you think to yourself, how can I do that for myself? They're actually a really great template to go after. The next part of this is in and out marketing, inbound, outbound. So inbound marketing is drawing people in. And so what that means is you're not knocking on doors, they're knocking on yours, which is kind of helpful. But you got to do the work too to still get those people drawn into you. So the ways that we usually see inbound marketing in terms of activity is social media, search engine optimization, YouTube. When you content create, that is when you are doing activities that are going to draw inbound people to you. And that could be to a website, it could be to a followership, it could be to all sorts of different platforms where you are going to have a continued relationship with those people. Now, conversely, outbound is when you are sending the message out into the universe, you're putting out the bat signal, and you are saying, look at me, please, please, please look at me. You're not just bumping into me. I am purposefully trying to get in front of you. So you see this in advertising, you see it in promotions, you see it on every single thing from YouTube and Pandora. Yes, I know I'm aging myself. I still like Pandora. I know people like Spotify, but like Jax, I gotta just own my Pandora station. It just makes me happy. So it's okay. But looking at that outbound is really about thinking how you could actually get engaged with people. Usually this is in some form paid, whether it's paid with your time or paid through like an advertising medium. Does that make sense?
Yes, it absolutely makes sense. I'm curious on this. I'm actually dropping what you're talking about in chat for everyone so you can kind of follow along. So outbound, you're talking about advertising and email, but a lot of people don't like to have spam. Do you know what a workaround is for that, to put out that information? Is it maybe only doing it once a month, once a quarter? What is the best tempo for that outbound traffic?
Oh, I'm going to give you the famous Nielsen Norman Group quote, which is, it depends. So it depends on what your audience is used to doing and what they like to hear. I have different audience personas that I know really enjoy having multiple updates throughout the day, kind of like a news ticker. Then there are other people who are like, listen, once a month is plenty. Thank you so much. One of my favorite marketing contributors to the world is Ann Hanley, and she does a fortnightly newsletter that I look forward to every Sunday morning. And so every time I look at that, it makes me happy. I feel really good about checking it out, and it's just enough for me. It's an aggregate of other pieces and parts, but it's personalized. And that would be an example of something that resonates with my persona, is I want quality content that's personalized, that's going to make me feel like I'm connected to the author. And similarly, no matter what the channel is, people want to connect with their reader and they want to get something out of that exchange. So spamming's bad. I mean, we hate being spammed.
Yeah.
It's kind of back to that old school lessons of like, if you don't want it done to you, don't do it to others.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good measurement. But I think if you're starting out, you have to verge on the side of doing more than less, because if you don't get a certain momentum, you're going to feel like you're not making any type of progress. Does that help?
Yeah, so it sounds like to me what some of the key factors here is personalization, because when outbound advertising and emailing was a thing, you could just put any content out there, but now it needs to make sure that's personalized, and it's more about quality versus quantity. So if it is every quarter, make sure the quality is there, and same with if you're going to be doing it every week or every month, just make sure. And then that personalization, so taking more time on the information that you're putting out there for your audience.
And a lot of people have ways to toggle their own preferences. One of the
Yeah,
things that I shared recently on LinkedIn was
it's a good
I
point.
I binged following a whole bunch of people that I found really interesting, and then I got like total notification hangover because everything lit up. And for people like me who get a little bit ADHD and just like, ooh, all the shiny things, it was like I need to turn off a bunch of these things right now so that I can choose my own tempo when I'm going to go and look at what they're sending me, because otherwise all all of the everythings were
Yeah.
just too much.
Yeah.
So you can use the technology to be your friend. So,
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, leverage. And we'll talk on that, ChatGPT. So you've provided us 3 out of the 7. Brand positioning for everybody. We had brand positioning, brand awareness, and then inbound marketing and outbound.
yes.
What is
So, in
number
comes number
4?
4,
Yeah.
content marketing. So, previously, content marketing used to be thought of as like written content, but content has kind of grown further. And so, you can think of video assets, podcasts, all sorts of different mediums as being content. And what that content does is it creates and grows awareness that showcases the evidence of your knowledge. Think about all the
Mhm.
different ways that you can show, in a nice way, not in a show off way, that you are knowledgeable,
Mhm.
and all the ways that people can then choose to engage with you. So we think about kind of the quality of content marketing being aligned with what Google has told us about what they reward on search engine result pages. And so that is the EAT acronym, or EEAT. So they want to know from your content, do you have firsthand experience? Now, a lot of us in this room have pivoted careers, and they've decided that they need to, you know, recraft a new persona around
Right.
cyber. It may be hard to show experience there, but do not despair. There are other ways that you can show experience, life experience. There's a lot of different things that I've learned from mistakes that are having absolutely nothing to do with marketing. You can talk about your life, you can talk about the leadership things that you've learned. I learn stuff from my dogs a lot. I don't have any humans, but I learn a heck of a lot from my dogs on a daily basis. The next E after experience is expertise. And so that is continuing to do kind of value drops. What are you sharing that is of great value to somebody else where they go, man, they really get it? The next part is authoritativeness. And so that is how others see you in the space. And so, how I have grown my own personal brand is by being able to work with other people who are leaders in the space and growing my own authority over time. And the last part is trust. Are you doing things that are above board? Are you sharing on content that is like valuable, that is true, that is unique, that has an authentic vibe? Or are you just kind of rinse and repeating what somebody else does? And so that's the beware of ChatGPT and plagiarism and things like that. But there are good parts to that as well.
I have a follow-up question on that. So for somebody that might be pivoting in, or somebody could be like new in the space just in general, it could be, just out of college, for example. How do they create and show they're an expert or they have that authoritative presence? Is it more of being consistent with the content and putting the content out there, and then naturally your community is going to start seeing you in that authoritative space? You're going to start building credibility just by starting to put the content out?
Yes. So I'm gonna give a shout out to one of my new Simply Cyber connections, who posted today that he had a specific opinion on something that he had read recently and engaged on, and I came back with a counterpoint, a different thought. I encourage you to put your thoughts out there and to take the things that you are learning, the things that you are really digesting from those different experiences, and then share what that is. You may be 100% on, that's great, but the world is a place filled with lots of different people with diverse perspectives and diverse opinions, and that's a good thing. And starting a conversation is really healthy, and you don't have to be the world's greatest expert at
Mhm.
something. You can show expertise and you can show a willingness to collaborate, to talk to other people. And a lot of that stuff is what people want when they want to have an authentic engagement with someone. And so I think that when you're new, if you don't have the experience, get up to speed, but also find opportunities to engage with other people.
Mhm.
And while a lot of people say there are no stupid questions, I have a caveat. If it's a Googleable question, Google it first.
Agree. Yes, 100%. Such a great point. I love when people ask questions and then there's an acronym for that, right? I Googled that for you and the chat
Mhm.
will know. There's like an acronym for I Googled that for you. So it's very valid. So we've got brand positioning, brand awareness, inbound marketing, outbound, content marketing, but how do we grow it? How do we grow the followers?
So there's an actual term, growth marketing. So number five. So this is designing and conducting experiments to optimize and improve results. So experiments sound so school-like, but it's really about being able to figure out what matters to you.
Yeah.
Is that followers? Is that authority? Is that getting new speaking opportunities? Is that being able to get a better job offer? Is that about being able to increase just good things in the world because you're being able to share a brand presence? Are you able to help yourself grow? And so when you are conducting these experiments and looking at different ways to optimize for yourself, you're looking at ways to improve. And so you need to pick the metrics that matter. Not everything matters, and not everything that you can measure is actually going to give you truthful metrics in return. One of the things I talk about with my clients is that when we do our research, we're pulling it in from multiple sources, because every source of data has their own algorithm, has their own ranking metrics that put it into different priorities. And so you have to understand that use some benchmarks for yourself, but look at ways that you can improve. Pick one set, at least for now. If you're going to use YouTube as your example, look at your followers, look at your subscribes in terms of what content did people subscribe afterwards, and use that as a roadmap for what people want to see more of. But again, always be ideating on what could be next.
Yeah, it sounds like you can have various different focus for your growth market. It may even just be, could it be as simple as like, I want to grow and have executives within my circle because maybe I'm selling a product. And so your focus is growing specifically for that C-suite environment.
It is. It's just about growing everything around you and being able to measure it and quantify it over time so that you're making sure that the effort is resulting in actual growth, not the other direction, which is not as helpful when we're all trying to build something.
Yeah, and it's important to know what platform you're growing on, because you mentioned it. The metrics are always going to be different based on the platform that you're using. So the next one we have on here, I've never heard of this before. So this is an interesting one.
So tofu, mofu, and bofu. The first time that I had heard tofu, I had thought it was some type of food, and it is, but not in this framework. So tofu stands for top of funnel. And so as you think about the ways that people actually come in through a sales process, that top of funnel is the stuff that you think of as kind of like the headline news, the stuff that people would come in for, they want to just test it out. They may not be interested, they may jump right back out of the funnel. You think of it as a very shallow pool at the top of that funnel. Middle of the funnel is when somebody's like, that's interesting, tell me more. Middle is, tell me more. And then bottom of funnel is like, now you've got my attention. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to come out the bottom of the funnel because it's going to be hard to come back out and make another decision or find somebody else that I want to follow or find another product that I want to do because I invested my time, energy, and resources into this funnel process.
Yeah.
And so it's really truly the end-to-end process of turning prospects into customers. And so when we talk to entrepreneurs, a lot of the struggle that I see is that people want immediately at bottom of the funnel content. They want the data sheets. They want all of the specifics around how the sausage is made, how it is unique. And the problem is that in order to get some of that awareness, it's like too far down the line. It's kind of like if you were thinking of somebody going to start dating, you wouldn't just pick them up at their door and then say, hey, I've been thinking about getting married today. Would you like to go? It's a little much. It's coming on too hard too soon. So figuring out how you can warm them up through that top of funnel content, then really continuing to nurture the relationship through the middle, and then looking at ways that you can continue to build that relationship for that bottom of funnel. Because after you're out of the bottom, it is a build. It's building that customer journey with them for continuing to be able to make sure that there's a long-term relationship.
And I actually had this conversation with another individual that's in the community, Neil Bridges. He's the reason I have my YouTube channel, but I'm not monetizing it right now. And he had asked me, like, what is your goal with the funnel? And I didn't know what he was talking about. But back to what you were saying is the process of turning those individuals that may be subscribed to your followers into customers. But do you think it's okay sometimes to, if people just want to build their base following, that is okay? They don't need to focus on turning them into customers yet. They could do that maybe a couple years down the road.
Totally. Part of this could be even how you decide that you're going to change your funnel metric, right? So maybe it's not converting them into a customer. Maybe it's converting them into a follower.
Yeah.
Maybe it's converting them into somebody who is part of your referral network. That funnel can get you to a whole bunch of different places, but it's really that journey from beginning to middle to end on how you want to engage and what types of information are going to be more relevant to people during different parts of their journey.
I love
So
that. Well
that
said.
leads us into customer journey, and that's the
We're
last
at
of our 7.
7.
So it's unique to each person and to each business. And I just try to vehemently encourage, not every single situation is going to fit every single person's product, personality, setup, budget. You really get an opportunity here to carve it yourself. There's a bunch of different templates out there for how you can start to build out a customer journey and what types of things people need from a psychological safety perspective in order to take next steps. But in general, a lot of these things are very nuanced when we start getting into different unique buyer personas and being able to find out which audiences we really want to talk to.
Yeah, and from that, we've got I put all of the 7 in the chat, so everybody should have that as we went through it. So that right there, you all should have those complex marketing concepts now, and I hope that you all took those notes. But from that, there's a piece to this that we haven't touched on yet, which is that storytelling portion.
Yes, storytelling is critical. Oh, and also for the chat, if there are any like acronyms or concepts or anything like that that I haven't addressed that you want me to touch on, drop them in there. Happy to jump into it. And it may be also content for us for another episode.
Yeah.
So talking about stories, firsthand stories are really, really important. And this is something that I struggle with most of my entrepreneurs who want to talk about the thing, not themselves. And it's hard for a lot of us too, we've been taught, at least I was taught, don't get out there and talk about yourself, let other people talk. And that was probably because I was very outgoing as a child and they just wanted other people to be able to talk a little too.
Yeah.
But using firsthand stories and being able to share about yourself is critical for being able to allow others to engage and connect with you. So I'm going to share a little bit about me with you. So I'm a marketing expert. That is something that was shared here on the show. It's not secret information. If I share information about marketing, people aren't going to be surprised. But there's other things that I can share and personal stories, which then can draw out different life lessons, how I can tie it back to the things that are related to marketing. And so some of those fun facts, which I consider safe to share with the internet at large. I'm a mentor and I am a mentee. Let's try that again. I'm a mentor and a mentee. I'm a volunteer. I'm an author. I'm a dog lover. I have 4 dogs. I'm a former opera singer turned jazz singer.
Wow.
I am an advocate and philanthropist. When I was a kid, my mom tried to kill me by putting me in ski jumping lessons, and I'm not athletic. It's a whole story. I am a DIY person. I like getting my hands dirty and really getting into the nitty-gritty of things, and with that, I really love mowing the lawn. It's just a random fun fact, but I do crop circles. It makes my husband crazy, but it makes me very happy. So, happy wife, happy life. When I transition this into, okay, those are things about me, I also think about my passions, the things that are related to my profession. Mm-hmm. So I have a passion for helping people. That really doesn't fit into any one specific bucket. I have a passion for traveling. Mm-hmm. I have a passion for learning and sharing about user experience design, human-computer interactions. I have a passion for writing. There's a passion for behavioral economics, my passion around graphic design, experiential marketing, and also a very significant passion. And if you follow me around the holidays, I really enjoy confetti and sprinkles. They are truly my happy place. I have probably, no joke, 4 Tupperware tubs of sprinkles.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
We're just going to take it real serious here on that whole sprinkle front. Now, some people might consider my sprinkle addiction. We're not going to call it that. Obsession. No, it's probably not good. Enthusiasm. We're gonna go with enthusiasm, Jax. I like that. You like
Yeah.
that?
It's a
Okay.
passion. It's
It's a
passion.
passion. It's a
Yeah.
passion. Um, as an overshare, because some people are like,
Yeah.
not big on the sprinkle front.
Right.
But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tell you really what an overshare is. And I want you to just suddenly revert back to cringing at yourself about 10 years ago on Facebook. And if you've been looking at any of your like on this day and you're like, I was vague booking, that's weird. Guilty as charged. It's really about figuring out what things are overshares. Like the sandwich that I ate that day, nobody cared. I'd
Right.
like to think that they did, they didn't. So here's some things. Intimate details about relationships, friends, family matters, personal drama, yeah, overshare. Using social media as a soapbox or a way to vent your emotions, this is a maybe. We'll come back to that one. Posting photos or videos that are meant to be private. I have a lot of comments for a lot of my businesses about like what actually needs to belong on the internet about this side of you and what doesn't. The regular postings and meals, like I said, checking in at locations, super Facebooky. Posting about whatever you are doing at a given moment multiple times during a day. Now, small caveat again, if you're at a show, if you're at Black Hat, post that you're there. Other people will see that you're there. It's a good thing for you to build your
Yep.
status, but it's also a great way for you to connect with other people who you may not have had a chance to meet because you live across the country or across the world from one another. It's a great
Right.
opportunity. And then sharing too much information or photos of your friends, family, dogs, etc. All those things are helpful. So, venting. Venting isn't always bad, but the thing I want to tell you is you should control esteem. I've seen things on lots of different social channels and even on LinkedIn where we consider to be very business professional, where people really just lose their top. They just get really frustrated, they blow their steam, and then there's a whole bunch of, ooh, that was a lot. So think about maybe I wait a day before I share those things. But being passionate and being authentic is incredibly important. But be selective. Remember that this is what everybody is expecting in a lot of ways, a highlights reel. We are expecting at least a 10-to-1 ratio of happy stuff to ooh stuff. And that ooh
Yep.
can fall into a whole bunch of different things. But people tune in for the story, then they tune out for the drama in the business world. So be really sensitive to that.
I think that was key, the business world that you added in there, though. Yeah. It's all about what type of followers do you want following you?
Yeah. I mean, I have never been a Real Housewives of Fill in the Destination person, but I know some other people really are. That kind of drama stuff just makes me turn off the channel. It's
Yep.
just too much for me. But some people enjoy the drama. But again, you would have to ask yourself, would I do business with that person?
Correct.
Would I introduce that person to somebody I respected?
Right.
And I think that's pretty much a good barometer. The other part of this is being able to figure out your vulnerability. I'm a huge fan of Brene Brown. If you don't know who she is, please go check out her Netflix documentary. It's very digestible. And if you have more time, she's got podcasts and she's got great books. I think that what she is doing for corporate America right now to be able to help shape how we can be vulnerable and authentic in our world is immensely needed and valuable. So she talks about authenticity, connection, and courage, and all three of those are critical to being able to share a story, especially in a way that's going to be compelling for somebody else. So I know we have 2 minutes here, Jax. Do we have any questions from the gallery that we should jump into?
I didn't see anything come in. I'm coming back over here. No, but a lot of feedback. I definitely, what is this? Oh, Space Tacos did mention, wow, that's a lot of sprinkles. So
Just come to my house around the holidays, and any holiday qualifies.
how everybody's loving the content. No, and this is a chance if you all have a question. I haven't seen anything come in, so drop it in there. We still have a couple minutes left.
So the last thing I'll touch on today is story framework. So as we start to write as ourselves and as entrepreneurs or ambassadors of a brand, we need to think about clarity and consistency. Clarity being that when you create content, usually in a written form or verbal form, you need to have a strong beginning, middle, and end. Just think of your favorite show. You need to make sure that you have a great finale. You also need to have a really great pilot. The middle will forgive you sometimes, you're like losing your way, but we really need that strong beginning, middle, and end. You have to think about how you're going to hook that audience. What are the cliffhangers potentially? What are the anecdotes? What are the quotes potentially that you feel resonate with you personally? Think about the examples from your life that can really make what you are sharing relatable. And then don't be afraid of using emotion. Emotion is a strong connector for a lot of different people. Humor is important. My sprinkle obsession, definitely real, but also very humorous thing in our household. But it's also a part of my personality is I use the confetti cannon just as my favorite emoticon. It gets used a lot. But it's part of being authentic. And as you connect with your audience, they'll feel your authenticity. So if you are starting to use this as a vehicle for being able to build your own personal brand, you are looking at monetizing it in some way, shape, or form, whether that is going to get a job, elevate yourself in your own career, find a new avenue for growing in entrepreneurship, all of these things matter. And you need to start thinking about calls to action. A call to action is literally go do something, but most people don't know what to go do. So it is like, subscribe, comment. So as we've gone through this entire sequence, hopefully you've seen a whole bunch of different ways that you can start to engage. And so I'm going to give you a call to action for us as we wrap up today. I would love for you to book some time with me for free to come and have a coffee break with me. I'm really passionate about learning about entrepreneurs and what you guys are up to. If you use my Calendly link, it'll give you a 15-minute time slot on my calendar, and it's really exciting for me to get to know you guys personally. There's no commitment to do anything other than just chit chat. Use the time as your time. Ask questions about what's important to you and bring me in.
I love it. I love it. All right. So one question, do you have a moment for one question?
Yeah.
All right. So we had one question come in. Curious Spectra, I think. If I said that last part wrong, sorry. How would I reignite the passion to pursue cybersecurity after belonging to a different sector? Any advice on how they could basically find that passion, that motivation within them?
Oh, this one's a tough one. And I know that there are times when we can just feel burned out. And burnout is a totally legit thing that a lot of people feel, and it's not just related to like a career path. But what I do in times when I'm just kind of not feeling passionate about what I'm focused on at the time is I find people who are just incredibly passionate about that thing. And so if you can surround yourself, even if it's digitally, with people who are passionate about the specific topic, it may find different ways to ignite that excitement in your soul again. And looking for their different channels, you may find different ways that different pieces of content resonate with you more or less. I am personally somebody who really doesn't respond to infographics. They just don't do it for me. I'm more of a white papers, case studies kind of person. I want to get into the nitty gritty. But that can be like brain cognitive overload for me from time to time. And it's like, I just don't want all that extra information. And if I spend too much time in those things that are like in the neutral or drain category for myself, it doesn't give me enough energy boost to come back to the things that I do really enjoy, like talking to people face to face and being able to engage with a real community. So reigniting that passion, find people who are in the field, who you find interesting, funny, amusing, whatever the category is that resonates for you, and watch them. And if it doesn't work, change the channel. Don't turn off the TV. Just change the channel, because there's a lot of different creators out there now, which we're really privileged to have. And it's an opportunity too, potentially, if you haven't found what you like, to be that creator.
Love it. Great answer. I know I saw one more question come in, but we don't have time. So Christopher Cahill, I think I said that last name correct. I would encourage you to have a coffee date with Virginia. Use that link that I dropped in chat. Virginia, thank you again so much for coming on the show. This has been absolutely amazing. Quick reminder for everybody here, in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing another episode on July 12th. We have episode 4, which is leveling up your thought leadership from zero to cyber hero. So you don't want to miss that. Go in there and make sure that you have a reminder set on the YouTube channel. Thank you again, Virginia. You
Thanks
are
for
the
having
best.
me, Jax.
It's my pleasure. All right.
Yeah.
See you guys. Bye.
Everybody, I hope you enjoyed that content. Keep the cybersecurity train going by connecting with the other Simply Cyber community resources. We have the Discord server that's lively and always keeps the conversation going. You can connect with me directly on LinkedIn. And also every single weekday morning on the Simply Cyber channel, we're doing live daily cyber threat briefings, 8 a.m. Eastern time, as well as Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We're doing live stream interviews with industry experts, and we produce videos that we push out every Wednesday morning. I'm Jerry from Simply Cyber. I hope you enjoy